Welcome to Now Hear This. I'm your host, Chris Spangle. Now Hear This is a conversation with leaders in Indianapolis that are working to improve the lives of Hoosiers. Our goal is to empower you to join in their work and make a difference while informing you about the unseen aspects of life in Indiana. If you miss an episode, you can listen via podcast at nowhearthisindy.com. I have a great show today. We are talking to Lieutenant Colonel Brittany Simmons, who is the battalion commander for the Indy Recruiting Battalion for the U.S. Army. And she's here to talk about National Hiring Days, which is coming up. And thank you so much for joining us, first of all, Lieutenant Colonel.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here today, Chris.
So I think let's start with what you do. What is the Indy Recruiting Battalion? You know, when you think of the military, I think in a lot of people's minds, it's just like one amorphous thing. And then once you dive in, there's different branches, there's different levels. So tell us a little bit about the Indy Recruiting Battalion, what you do, how you got into this.
Sure, absolutely. So the Indy Recruiting Battalion is responsible for recruiting for the active duty Army and the U.S. Army Reserve. So that's the mission that we have. We have offices all over the greater metro area and really the rest of the state. So we cover almost all of Indiana, and we actually cover central down into southern Illinois as well. So we have recruiters, both active Army and Army Reserves, that are out there to educate the public about the opportunities of service and to go out there and find young men and women who should come be part of our team and join us.
So what does that job entail? When you say you're going out and recruiting, how does that process work?
Well, so it works a little bit differently now than it did a few months ago, just as with everybody else, thanks to COVID. But really, it's reaching out and talking to people. So in the past, you would find us in schools set up there talking to them. You'd find us at all of your major events. We would have been at the big, Freedom Fest downtown this year for the 4th of July, if that was still going on. And so we're at all of those type things, job fairs, letting people know what job opportunities and future exist in the United States Army. And so we would do that. Right now, because of COVID, we're really reaching out, and Army National Hiring Days is about this, is being able to touch people from the virtual space, whether that's talking to them on the phone, which our recruiters do, or it's engaging them on Facebook. It's engaging them on social media. It's when we get the information from when they go to goarmy.com. We'll reach out to them by phone, and we carry on that conversation on Instagram, on, again, Facebook, social media, any platform out there. The Army is out there ready to engage with the public to tell them what it is that we do and what we offer them if they join us.
Yeah, I imagine it completely changed everything. So first of all, is a lot of your conversations, are they inbound or is it you go out and people hadn't thought about the idea of joining? And how has that dynamic changed through the pandemic?
So it is both. The dynamic that's changed is really we're just not getting that face-to-face interaction that we used to get. We're starting to get a few more of those opportunities as the states open up more, and we're really trying to make sure we stay at the same pace as the state, because we care about the safety of our team, of our soldiers and our families, and everybody that comes into the office. So, right now that we do call from a lot of lists, but we do get a lot of inbounds as well. It's the people going to the goarmy.com. They're calling the local station, or they're dropping by the recruiting stations, because we do have personnel in there ready to receive them. Are we going to have some different health protocols than we had prior to COVID? Absolutely, because we owe that to our team and we owe that to everybody that comes into those stations. Otherwise, the process has remained the same. We just have the ability to do a whole lot of it virtually prior to them having to actually come into a recruiting station.
How has life in the Army and in the military service changed over the last couple months? I mean, when I remember thinking back to my high school days, my friends who joined the Army, the Navy, the Marines, they signed up after a few period of time, they'd go off to boot camp. How has that entry process changed through what we're living through right now?
Right. That's a great question. It's one we get asked by, applicants and parents all the time. And, first, the Army's resilient. Then it's all about doing the art piece of it and changing things to meet the current needs. So we did take a slight pause in sending folks to basic training because we wanted to make sure we could put those health protocols in place, and they have. So really what they've been able to do is as we have young men and women shipping off to basic training, they've got a first 14-day time frame, like everybody, in a variety of places, in order to make sure that they're safe. They're testing virtually almost all of the individuals showing up to make sure that if anybody's asymptomatic, that we're able to quarantine them separately from everybody else. And then once they've cleared that time frame and they've cleared everybody to be safe, they stay with their safety bubbles. They train with that same group of cadre, and they're able to keep just those people together. So there's not massive outbreaks, and we're able to still accomplish the training. And that's both at the basic training phase, and that's at the rest of the bigger Army training as we have to stay on point, ready to defend the nation. One of my good friends just finished up a training rotation down at Fort Polk, Louisiana, where they were in the same type thing, quarantine before they went. While they're there, they stay in their safety bubbles. They execute the exercise. They're wearing masks, doing all of those type of things, but still getting after the mission that we have to do as soldiers.
Efficient. I would expect nothing less. That's great. So if anybody's listening and they're thinking about joining, or they have a loved one that, they're maybe encouraging them to join, they go to goarmy.com, and we'll talk about national hiring days here in just a moment. But in general, right now, or, in the coming months, as things ease up, I go to goarmy.com and I decide that I want to join. Can you walk me through that process? What does it look like? I think sometimes a barrier to making that kind of decision is not knowing what's on the other side of that decision. So tell us a little bit about what's in store for the person that comes, talks to you, and makes the decision to join.
Sure. When they go to goarmy.com, there's going to be that main page there. They can put in their information to just find out information. That will go to one of our recruiters, and we'll reach out to talk to them. And while they're on the site, they can explore the 150 plus jobs that are available out there. So there's videos on all of those, descriptions for those types of jobs. So just initially, that's what they'll see. They can input their information. We will be very responsive in getting back to them, giving them a phone call. And then once we give them a phone call, we'll be able to do a couple different things. If they're comfortable coming to the office, then by all means, we'll be able to, sit down with them and have those discussions, socially distanced 6 feet apart, and have that. But we absolutely understand that there's a lot of people that don't want to do that right now. We can set up a FaceTime. We can set up a variety of different ways to discuss with them and start building their information that they need in order to join. Because at some point, they're going to have to take the ASVAB if they don't already have a score from possibly taking it in high school. So they'll have to do that. We'll check some information on their whether they've had any issues with the law, so that we can make sure that we check and make sure that stuff's good. We can do all of that virtually initially. And then at some point, they will have to come to the station for us to finalize some of that information in order for them to go to MEPS. So MEPS is the Military Interest Processing Station. It's here in Northeast Indianapolis, Lawrence, over in the federal building that's there. And we will schedule them a time where they go through and they have a physical that they go through. If they haven't taken the ASVAB, they'll take that ASVAB, and that will help us see where they are in the qualification and eligibility process. And if they're committed to join, then, and everything is good and they make it through that process, then one of our guidance counselors will sit down with them and help them really pick that job that's right for them at the time. And definitely the one that's most advantageous for what they're looking for, whether it's adventure, whether it's bonuses, whether it's training and skills certification. There's all of those different factors that play in. We really want to make sure we take care of each individual.
We are talking to Lieutenant Colonel Brittany Simmons, who is the battalion commander for the Indy Recruiting Battalion for the U.S. Army here in Indianapolis. And their website, obviously, is goarmy.com. So you mentioned 150 different jobs, and this is something that I was sort of, when you're growing up and you think about the Army and you're playing with your G.I. Joes, you think about combat. That's when, if you're going to join the military, that's what I think people think you're going to do. But when you sit down with one of your guidance counselors, there's an array of different types of jobs. I'm good friends with somebody that works in PR now and was doing PR in the Army. And so that's where he got his start. What does a career in the military look like when you're talking? What are some of the options that you have before you when you're talking to a guidance counselor?
So to talk about some of the jobs, we do have your combat out there, right? We do have infantry. We do need that. We have, fire control specialists. That's going to be working with your artillery. We also have, in today's day and age, we have a bunch of unmanned aircraft systems. So think flying drones, right? That is something that we have a lot of. And so that's skills that translate over to the civilian world. We also have a big need on the intelligence side of the house for people to be able to process information, to be able to do the cyber side of the world, the cryptologic type information. We have medical responsibilities, a wide variety of those. We do have the human resources side of the house, and we have We have a whole bunch of logistics jobs. I mean, if you think about a city and what a city has to do in order to survive, then the Army has it. Because when we move, we have a city. So we have plumbers, we have engineers, we have construction, we have police. And because of some of the unique environments we find ourselves in, we have individuals that are super smart on chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear specialists. And some of those you would have actually seen deployed across America, actually helping out with the COVID response because they know how to isolate certain instances. So we're able to use those specialties across a variety of lines. So if a city has it, the United States Army has it.
That's excellent. So National Hiring Days is coming up, and you're always recruiting. That's your job. What is special about National Hiring Days found at GoArmy.com?
So National Hiring Day is really a total Army effort for us to get after the fact that we were doing awesome and we're actually ahead when COVID hit. But then with COVID, like everybody else, we took a little bit of a pause, and the American public was reacting to that. So we didn't get quite the enlistments at that time frame that we had planned on because everybody had to react to COVID. And so as we get after it now, we're looking to hire 10,000 young men and women across the United States and really the world, because we have communities in Korea and Germany and all of those places. And it's a total Army effort, meaning that senior leaders across the Army at every installation. For example, we have Army Finance Command here in Indianapolis, and Brigadier General Bennett is going to join us in helping spread the word that the Army is hiring, and we're looking for people to join us. So it's not just Army Recruiting Command that's going out and doing recruiting. It's every single Army soldier across those 3-day time frame.
All right. And again, you can go to GoArmy.com, and there's a lot of bonuses and incentives too that I saw in doing some prep work. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So we have a slew of bonuses and incentives dependent upon a variety of different factors. And during this time frame, on top of that, if they go to GoArmy.com and register at this point and end up enlisting over the next few weeks, then there's an additional $1,000 to $2,000 bonus that they can go on that. But we have bonuses up to $40,000 just straight off the bat, depending upon what specialty you pick once you finish your training. And then we also have up to $65,000 in student loan repayment that's out there. And we all know that America's facing a student loan crisis, so that's a great benefit that comes with it. So a lot of it just depends upon eligibility and what jobs you end up picking, but the Army is absolutely looking for the right people, and we're willing to say we have benefits and we want you and want to have the best as part of our team. So we'll give you some incentives to be part of that.
All right, final question. This is what I ask everybody. In your daily work and interacting with the public, what is the thing that you think most often or that you commonly see that you wish everybody understood?
I think really that the Army is not just the 90 seconds or 90 minutes, if you will, that we see on movies, right? Most people, I think, judge the Army off of a 90 minutes that they saw from a movie. And there's so much more to the United States Army. We are a reflection of society when it comes to who we are in our makeup and our composure as far as people, whether that's race, ethnicity, gender. We have, across all of those. And we have all of these jobs. We have all of these opportunities that exist. And it's not just a steady paycheck that comes with it, but it's also the camaraderie. It's the adventure. They've changed it now to where the retirement system is very robust, and you start, accumulating that as soon as you enter. We really are on par with a lot of our civilian counterparts out there of what we offer. And so it is a really great way either to do a full 20-year career or to do a stint and set yourself up for education benefits in the future. So I hope people see the Army as a land of opportunity and not just a land of combat. While that's part of what we do, and we're set ready to defend the country, there's a lot that goes into that. And so we're a pretty amazing force, and we're looking for you to join us.
All right, Lieutenant Colonel Brittany Simmons, the battalion commander for the Indy Recruiting Battalion for the U.S. Army, talking about National Hiring Days. You can find out more at GoArmy.com. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate the time, and I love the great people of Indianapolis and Indiana.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to Now Hear This. I am your host, Chris Spangle. If you missed any portion of our program, you can listen on our website, nowhearthisindy.com. If you'd like to have your organization featured on the show, please contact Gabby at 317-475-7407 or via the contact page on our website. Thanks for listening, and we will be back again next weekend with Now Hear This. Our goal at the Chris Spangle Show is to help you sound smarter while talking with your friends. If you struggle to understand politics, we explain it from an independent libertarian perspective with all of the irreverence modern politics deserves. We toss out the screaming heads and put people before political parties and give context to the news to make you think. I'm the host. I'm a 15-year veteran of politics and media, and this show is published every Saturday. It's part of the We Are Libertarians network, and be sure to join Wall Plus for bonus podcasts, the complete archives, commercial-free shows, and more. Subscribe now at wearelibertarians.com.